Hello and welcome to Wellywood Wargaming. My name is Damon and this is a community engagement video. A couple of weeks ago I put out a challenge to the wide Necromunda community out there on creating a 1k credit gang list. Now the rules were quite simple. All you had to do was create a starting list build, no ash waste stuff, no vehicles or mounts in it, but it had to be completely legal. It could be a house gang, it could be a non-house gang. But really, you had 1,000 credits to play with, and boy, did I get some exceptional entries. I have to say, just starting off with this, thank you very much to everybody that has given me a submission for this. I got about 50 or 60 gang lists from the community that I had to really carefully pick through and find the 10 best, or at least my 10 favorites anyway. So apologies if your gang list didn't make it into the video. I still very much value it, and I'm looking forward to doing this again, maybe down the track next year. But before we get into it, please do like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon as well, or hit that super thanks button if you'd like to support me further. If my voice is sounding a little bit stuffy, it's because I'm just getting over COVID for the 3rd time, so bear with me. I might just go a little bit slower with this video, which is probably better for you anyway if I'm speaking a bit slower, because I think I normally talk too fast anyway. So let's get into it with my top 10 favorites. Now, just a sort of quick outline. 1,000 credits you had to spend on a gang list. Some of these are house lists, some of these are non-house lists, but they are all, to my knowledge, fairly legal. Some of them are a little bit ambiguous, but we've kept them in for the fluff. Now, extra points were sort of given for the fluff and the sort of narrative that's been built around these lists. And I have to say, I'm really, really impressed with what the community's come up with. There's some incredibly creative work here. And I have to say, I think list building in general is a hobby of its own, I suppose. And I really enjoy spending a lot of time fiddling around on Yak Tribe and coming up with really creative and interesting ideas and ways to play the game of Necromunda, as I'm sure many of you do. I think this will be pretty insightful for some of the new players as well, giving you new options to play your gangs, new ways of doing it, and even for those veterans out there like myself, this has really opened my eyes as to what's possible with the game of Necromunda, and just makes me fall in love with Necromunda even more when I see stuff like this. So I had to whittle it down to the top 10, so we're going to start with 10 and work our way upwards. Let's get into it. All right, so the first list we have here in at number 10 is Jeroen de Beer. Excuse me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly, but I think that's how you do it. This one is a Bad Zone Enforcer list, so a little bit esoteric there. I didn't expect to see too many Bad Zone Enforcer lists. I certainly got lots of Goliaths, Escher, Van Saar builds, but this one is a Bad Zone Enforcer list. Now, if you're not familiar with Bad Zone Enforcers, they're like your regular Palanite Enforcers, except they get some different equipment and a few more options on gang creation that makes them a little bit more narrative, a little bit more fun to play, I think. They do get the addition of Hive Scum as well. So let's have a look at Jeroen de Beer's list here. It's pretty nasty. I did try, and just before I get into this, I did try and whittle out some of the really, really spammy lists that I was sent. I did get a lot of very, very spammy lists. This one is a little bit spammy and a little bit disgusting, I have to say. But it's still in there at number 10 because it's just a really interesting way of playing Enforcers, I suppose. So with this 1,000 credit list, we start off with the leader. At 255 credits, we have Alpha 27, who is a Bad Zone captain. Now, he comes with a web gun, a stub gun, armored undersuit, and magnicals, and the skill of choice there is hip shooting. Now, web guns with hip shooting are absolutely disgusting. I think giving you a run and gun threat range of about 18 inches. Absolutely hideous. I did it on my Bad Zone Enforcers, and I didn't have many friends in the campaign that I was running. That was just on one guy, however. In this list, however, we do have 2 Bad Zone Sergeants. Both are fairly identically armed, also with web guns with hip shooting. So we have 3 hip shooting web guns on a captain and 2 sergeants. Absolutely disgusting, if you ask me. We then have a Bad Zone Patrolman, in fact 3 Patrolmen, one with an auto gun, another one with an auto gun in fact, and one with a sniper rifle as well for that long range threat. So you've got some really nasty web guns which can do a hell of a lot of damage to most gangs, while you've got snipey, shooty in the background, backed up of course by Dweezil and Crass, the 2 enlisted Hive Scum here, both with las guns as well for the super cheap 45 credit chaff that can just sit back and get those +1 to hits at 18 inches with the las guns for pinning. Really, really nasty. There's not a huge amount I'm going to explain more with this list, but as you can imagine, if you've played any Necromunda or you've played with web guns or against web guns, this one is particularly nasty. Having access to web guns and being able to do this with hip shooting is quite frankly disgusting. Again, I don't advise you using this list. It's certainly a very, very dirty, filthy one, but if you've got those power gamers in your campaigns and you want to stick it to them, then this is the way to do it, pun intended. So that is number 10 with the bad zone enforcers there. All right, then in at number 9, we have a Goliath list, of course. Now, I knew that there was going to be plenty of Goliath lists submitted, and I think out of the 50 or 60 lists that I got, I'd say at least 10, 15 of them, or maybe even more, in fact, were Goliaths. A lot of them very spammy, using dermal hardening and whatnot in the gene smithing. This one is slightly different, and I really, really like the direction that this is going in. Again, it's slightly ambiguous, but I think arbitrators will unanimously agree that this is probably legal. However, when it comes to Goliaths, just be careful because you don't earn many friends playing like this. But with this Goliath list, we have an Overseer. War gear is a grenade launcher with frag and crack. Smoke grenades also on the grenade launcher. Armored undersuit, heavy carapace armor, Natborn, adaptive biology, and Tyrant's Own, which I think gives you an extra wound. Yep, 3 wounds and toughness 5 there as well. Absolutely disgusting leader, and that pretty much is where most of the credits go. The skill there is Nerves of Steel as well, because Nerves of Steel is probably the best skill in the game overall, but that's just your Overseer. Wait till we look at the Stimmer. This whole build is built around the Stimmer Baluka. Now the Stimmer here in question has furnace plates and a Friends-On collar with hyper healing and dermal hardening. Dermal hardening giving you that toughness 5, hyper healing. Not sure what that one does, but yeah, it's all good. Now, of course, you can't normally start off with a Friends-On collar. What we've done here, though, is we have a chem dealer included as a hanger-on from Gang Creation. Now, you can include one hanger-on or brute from Gang Creation now, apparently, according to the new rules. So that's legit. You get the Friends-On collar, and you pay for it after the first game. I believe that's how it works with the chem dealer there. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong with this one. It's still very, very fun, though, if it is allowed indeed. Now, the Friends-On collar, of course, allows Berserker, Nerves of Steel, True Grit, and Unstoppable on that Stimmer, making the Stimmer absolutely terrifying. Of course, the skill of choice there is Fists of Steel as well, because he's not got any weapons. Fists of Steel makes your unarmed attacks very, very scary indeed. So this guy is just a Incredible Hulk type character. He's virtually unpinnable. He's very, very survivable with True Grit and Unstoppable. He's got toughness 5. He's just, I mean, what's not to like about this? I particularly like the fact that he's gone for Fists of Steel on this one, just meaning that you've got this absolute beast running around just punching things. Really, really fun, really, really cool. You then have a Forge Boss with a grenade launcher, with smoke as well, furnace plates and dermal hardening with Nerves of Steel, so similar to the leader there with toughness 5. Just, yeah, really, really hard to play against this, of course. We then have a ganger with a shotgun and furnace plates, another ganger with a bolt gun and furnace plates, and a bully with an axe, stub gun, furnace plates, and terminal biology there as well, to make a little bit more cost effective there. But Dwayne, the chem dealer, added on there, also comes with Fixer as well, so you get a little bit of money, so you can pay for that Friends-On collar after your first game. It's pretty cheesy, this one, but I do like it, mainly because that Stimmer is just so incredibly fun to use. I'd have to say, if I did a similar sort of thing, I'd probably scrap the grenade launchers. I'm just not, I know grenade launchers are great, I'm just not a huge fan of them in general. I'd probably go with a bit more variation on the skills as well on the leader, maybe drop Nerves of Steel and give something a bit more balanced, I suppose. But I think on this list, it's very much a fun one with the Stimmer there anyway. And that's number 9. Let's look at number 8 now. Okay, now we're into number 8. Hairy Bob, you submitted, I think, about 14 lists, and I had to whittle it down to just a few. This is one of them, though, in at number 8. This is a Venators list. Very, very fun. Now we're getting into the real fluffy narrative, really strong, defined sort of ideas here. This one is absolutely brilliant. I really, really like it. We've got Venators here with, I believe, 6, maybe 7 fighters here. Yep, 7 fighters, and a hanger-on here as well. But let's look at the leader first. Now, the idea behind this whole gang build is warp. All of the fighters in this can give you Insanity. Insanity is an incredibly powerful tool. Once you're under the effects of Insanity, it's very hard to get out of it, and it just messes everybody's day up in Necromunda. So Crazy Ivan, the hunt leader here, he has got a Balefire thrower and a Hex Iron blade with mesh armor and hip shooting. The Balefire thrower is basically a flamer with Insanity. Damage 2, cursed. Very, very nasty indeed. Really fun, 270 credits he comes in at. We then have Warped Lightning, who is Hunt Champion, number 4 with the High Ballistic skill. He's got an auto pistol, a Warp Storm Bolter, a Hex Iron blade, and Warp rounds for the Warp Storm auto pistol as well. Or the Warp auto pistol, should I say. Mesh armor and munitioneer, which is pretty cool. 210 credits he comes in as well. The next one is a hunter. This guy has auto pistols, auto gun, and warp rounds for both the auto pistol and the gun with mesh armor. Pretty nice there as well. Then we have a bullet merchant as the hanger on here, and that is how you get all those warp rounds. Very nasty indeed. We then have Mad Nick, who has 2 auto pistols with warp rounds and mesh armor with the higher ballistic skill there as well. He's just a ganger. And then we have Stay Away Stan as well, who has an auto gun, also with warp rounds on his auto gun as well. Mesh armor for 95 credits. The last one is Hunter number 4 with the high ballistic skill again at 90 credits, also with an auto gun with warp rounds and flak armor, and that clocks in at 1,000 credits. Very, very nasty indeed, and just a really, really fun and messy way of playing Necromunda, I think you'll agree. Obviously, the Bullet Merchant is the thing that allows you to have those warp rounds and such, but Venators with their high rarity and illegality sort of allowances there, giving you all those disgusting warped weapons is pretty cool. I really, really like this one, and I can see this one being very, very fun to play indeed. So that's number 8. Let's look at number 7 now. All right, in at number 7, we have Philip Hinton's Genestealer Corrupted Orlocks. Now, this is a really interesting one as well. Nothing too much in terms of the shenanigans here. It's more just about flavor, and I really, really love the bucket loads of flavor that you've got here. Not only to mention that is the list good, but it's also a really, really viable, easy conversion kit bash project to make. And I think Genestealer Cult Orlocks are just a really, really nice one to have with the mining sort of themes there. But this one's really, really good. We have 1,000 credits here. The Road Captain Caster comes with a grenade launcher, mesh armor, psychic familiar, and of course a psychic power as well, which I don't think is listed here, so I might have to ask you which psychic power you took. I would probably go down the telepathy route, as it seems to serve the Genestealer Cult purpose fairly well. So one of the telepathy skills, like hallucinations or something equally as disgusting, would be very nice indeed. Skills wise, the leader comes with munitioneer and one shot as well, so that's pretty nice. We then have an arms master with shotgun and mesh armor, iron stare and shotgun savant for that real classic Orlock arms master build there. Very nasty indeed. We then have Bingo, who's a road sergeant with a combat shotgun and mesh armor, shotgun savant, and Too Pretty for Primus. Other skills and legendary names given there. Too Pretty for Primus, I believe, gives you some money. It's similar to Fixer if you survive the battle, etc. We then have a bunch of gangers. Nudge is the first one, the bolt gun and flak armor. We then have Crest, who has a shotgun and flak armor. And then we also have, which one's this one? A Wrecker, sorry, with stub gun, dum-dum ammo, flak armor, and the jump booster as well. Always good to include a Wrecker in Orlock lists. I feel like Orlocks really, really do benefit so much from having those Wreckers just bouncing around the board. We then have a Aberrant, of course, because this is a Genestealer Cult infected Orlock list. So what would it be without an Aberrant? You have to have an Aberrant in there because they're just so much fun. And this Aberrant, of course, has got the Power Hammer and Mesh Armor, and they come with the Unstoppable skill as well. Very nasty indeed. We've also got a hanger on here, and a particularly good one in a Heretic, who come equipped with a plasma gun, mesh armor, or a grav gun or plasma gun, I believe. But that's the Heretic there as well, which gives you some awesome hanger on bonuses there as well. Really, really nice, flavorful, fun list there. Again, I think this one would be very, very tough to play against, particularly with all the bonuses from the Arms Master. Some really nice spread of skills. I particularly like this one because it's somewhat balanced. It's got lots of different types of range in here. You haven't got spam of certain weapon types. It's just really, really solid, and I think a very, very strong gang list build, particularly for a beginner. Actually, I think this was lots of fun. You've got close combat in there, you've got your jump booster, you've got maneuverability, and you've got some real punch from the leader and the champions there as well. Really, really nice list. Let's look at the next one now. All right, in at number 6 now we have Mitch Cohen's Venators. So another Venator gang here. I think you'll probably see quite a few of these in the top 10 here. The idea behind this one, it's called No Fun For You, by the way. I can think of more broken stuff here, but this one really, really is quite fun and engaging. And the whole list idea centers around gunk and blaze. Blaze, as we know, is disgusting. When you combine it with gunk, when you've been gunked, it's much easier to set you on fire. Very nasty indeed. So what we've got here as a hunt leader, Dirty G is the name here, and he comes with a bolt gun with gunk bolt rounds, armored undersuit and mesh armor with fast shot for 220 credits, very nasty indeed. We then have Muddy Waters, who's a hunt champion, with a combat shotgun with firestorm ammo and smoke grenades, mesh armor and hip shooting. Very, very nasty hip shooting with firestorm ammo. So what you do is you gunk bolt someone with your leader, and then you run in with your firestorm ammo to set them on fire and finish them off if you didn't kill them the first time round with the bolt gun. We then have Hunt Champion 3. This one is the toughness, the sort of Goliath profile with the movement 4, the strength and toughness 4. He's 210 credits and his name's Clup. We have a bolt pistol, smoke grenades, a chain axe, and gunk rounds for the bolt pistol as well. Armored undersuit, mesh armor, and nerves of steel. Very nice there indeed. So a bit of close combat threat there too. We then have Clean Steve. Great names, by the way, Mitch. 135 credits here with a bolt gun and gunk rounds, mesh armor, and he's a hunter number 4 as well. We then have Char Char, who is a hunter with a shotgun with Inferno rounds and mesh armor, and another hunter here with a shotgun with Inferno rounds and mesh armor as well. So 2 identically armed gangers there. And that clocks in at 1,000 credits for 6 fighters. Sure, it's overkill, but I think it's pretty nasty to play against this one if you do pull off those gunk shots and combine it with the firestorm ammo and the Inferno rounds there. What's nice actually is that there's no hand flamer or flamer equivalent. It's purely all in the solid rounds there. And just a really, really sort of creative and fun way to play this Venator list. I really like this one. Very nice indeed. So that's number 6. Let's go and have a look at number 5 now. Okay, and at number 5, we have an Escher build here, and this one is really, really good. Again, from Hairy Bob, so shout out to Hairy Bob on this one. The entire idea around this gang list, and Hairy Bob has actually supplied how you play these lists as well, which I really, really appreciate, because when I look at lists, I don't necessarily immediately go, oh yeah, that's how it works. This one, he's kind of described exactly how you play this list as well. But first, I'm just going to give you the bare bones of the actual list. We have Terry Crews, who's a queen. Great name there, by the way. 165 credits. We have a needle rifle with toxic paralyzing darts in there as well, with Overseer as a skill. Now, you'll see where Overseer comes in a second when I talk about how you play this gang. We then have Carly Quinn, the Headhuntress, the Death Maiden, 260 credits, and she is what this entire list is actually built around. She has Stiletto Knife ×2, a Chem Synth, she has Bad Blood, she has the Hyper Stim, she has Night, she has Concentrated Toxic, Maiming, and Panicking, so loads and loads of toxins and chems there. With Sprint as the skill of choice there. Death Maidens are pretty fast. When you give them Sprint, they go even faster. We then have Black Widow, who's a wild runner with a Stiletto Knife and throwing knives with a Chem Synth and Phalanx. Concentrated Toxic, Exploding Ammo and Paralyzing as well. And an identically armed wild runner here with Stiletto Knife, throwing knives, the same again, called Funnel Web. We then have 2 more wild runners here, both of which have wild bows, I believe. Chem Synths with concentrated, exploding, and maiming ammo there, and the other one has concentrated, exploding, and paralyzing. So a lot of shit in there that, honestly, as I'm not really much of an Escher player, I'm not too familiar with it. However, I've got the little note here that came with it that Hairy Bob sort of gave me, and just check this out. It's ridiculous. So the Queen comes with a needle rifle with paralyzing, so she can basically web enemy fighters, and Overseer. And here's where Overseer comes in. You've got a Death Maiden with a load of chems. She's got Hyper, which gives her +2 movement, plus D6 to the charge, and -1 weapon skill, combined with Sprint and Overseer. It means that she can move. Ready for this? Well, she's also got Night, by the way, which is auto out cold on the injury table. Bad Blood, when she's injured, everyone in base-to-base contact is hit by a weapon with the gas trait. But the idea with this, on activation 1 under Overseer, you sprint 24 inches. Yes, 24 inches you can sprint. Activation 2, you charge 8 inches plus D6. So work that one out. It's quite far. In turn 1, you could potentially move 33 to 38 inches, hopefully able to kill anything she charges. But if she doesn't and takes a wound, then Bad Blood treats everybody in base-to-base contact as affected by a weapon with the gas trait. If she does attack in combat, her toxin wounds on 2+ for the first attempt maims the fighter and also auto breaks them as well. An ideal character for assassinating the opposing gang as leader. You then have the Wild Runners with throwing knives, stiletto knives, and Phoenix cats. The chems included concentrate, first time wounds on a 2+, and exploding if the opponent dies. Anyone within 3 inches is affected by a weapon with the gas trait as well. Really, really cool, this one. I really, really enjoy this one, Hairy Bob. I mentioned this in a Facebook group and someone couldn't quite figure out how you could move a Death Maiden that far, and that is how you do it, apparently. So, yeah, a 38-inch maximum threat range in turn 1 with a Death Maiden is absolutely terrifying, and I think you'll agree that one definitely deserves to be in the top 5 here. So let's move on to the next one now. All right, then, firmly into number 4 here. We have another Venators list here, this one from Sam Honick. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong there. This one's great. Real strong theme as well on this one, and it had to be included in the top 4 here, just because it's a really fun one. It's certainly not broken, but it uses some stuff that I've just never really thought about. In fact, all of these lists do, to be honest. This one's great. It's a Venator build, as I said. We've got Timmy Two Knives, who has a needle rifle and a needle pistol. Doesn't actually have any knives here, though, but 2 needle pistols, I believe, with mesh armor and fast shot as the skill here, and comes with some Karma chem as well. Now, Karma is a chem that basically pacifies the person that has it. So if you are under the influence of Karma or Kalma, I'm not sure how you say that, you have to roll 2d6 and add your toughness. If the result is 11 or less, you don't get an activation. So very, very nice indeed. And that is Karma on the needle rifles there, and the needle business. We then have Timmy the Tussler, who's a Hunt Champion 4 with a needle rifle, needle pistol, and what's that there as well? A chain axe as well with flak armor and Karma as well, also with fast shot. We then have Timmy the Twin. They're all Timmy, by the way. This one's got a web gun and a club with flak armor and hip shooting. So a hip shooting web gun again, very nasty indeed. And then we have a bunch of hunters as well. Hunter number 3, Timmy the Townsman, has a stub gun, auto gun, and club. We have Timmy Throwdown, the Hunter 3. He's a specialist. He has a chainsword and stub gun, nothing else. We then have a club and stub gun on Timmy Takedown, 60 credits worth there, and Tiny Timmy, the last hunter there as well, with a club and a bolt gun. I guess the idea behind this one is that you subdue your opponent with that Karma, and then you run in and web them, giving you a little bit of extra sort of like capture sort of mechanic as well. I really, really like this one. It's just really fun and fluffy. I'm not sure if it is totally legal with the sort of chems using your needle rifle and stuff. I think you need some chem delivery there, but I just really like the idea of it, so I thought I had to include it in there because it's just a really fun narrative and interesting way to play the game. I think as an arbitrator, I probably just allow that one anyway, even if you can't actually do it. But I think the idea behind the chem delivery is there. If there's a way to do it, then that would be really, really awesome. So that one is in there now. Let's have a look at number 3. We're into the top 3 now, so this one's going to get really fun. All right, in at number 3 from Jono Ong, shout out to Jono Ong, we have an awesome Outcast list here, actually. And I was looking forward to seeing more Outcast lists in here. And of course, this one has to go in at number 3 because it's just really, really good. This one is using the Co-Iron delegation, which is available. I think they're 500 credits all up, and you get 3 fighters in here. The first one, the leader, in at 300 credits, comes with a bolt pistol and shock stave with carapace armor and a refractor field. Comes with devotional frenzy and overseer. We then have 2 outcast champions. Both are armed with a eviscerators, mesh armor. Sorry, one's got an eviscerator, mesh armor, and nerves of steel. The other one has an eviscerator, mesh armor, and infiltrate. So 2 equally scary eviscerator champions there. Now, the reason why they get eviscerators, of course, is because they're using Co-Iron's list as their house list there. So it's totally legal there. We then have Pius Maria and Pius Magdalene, both at 100 credits each. They are part of the Co-Iron delegation, and they come with eviscerators and las pistols, mesh armor, and devotional frenzy. Very, very nasty indeed. And then we have 3 hive scum here as well. Aspenia Anieria, I think that's how you say it, with a reclaimed auto gun. We've got another one with a reclaimed auto gun called Adeline Lucestra, and we have Rihanna Arnia, who also has a las gun there as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fighters, pretty great, and a starting list. And 1, 2, 3, 4 eviscerators in one list. So you've got those the hand flamer templates and very, very nasty sever giant chainsaws on there as well. I really, really like that one. I think it would be super, super fun to play. Not so much fun to play against, but it's really, really nice. And that's utilizing one of the delegations from the Book of the Outcast there as well. Really, really nicely done on that one. Well done, Jono. Let's look at number 2 now. In at number 2, of course, we have Hairy Bob with another absolute banger. This one is built around the Imperial Imposters. So what this is an outcast build here with the Master Charlatan as the leader. Again, totally legal. You're using the Imperial Imposter delegation or character, I suppose, as the Master Charlatan. What that does is gives you the access across the gang to the Master Charlatan's equipment and stuff too. When you think about it, it's pretty cool. I haven't actually thought about this one until I saw the list, and now I'm like, ooh, this is absolutely the most sneaky and cheeky gang list build that I could possibly imagine now. Now, the Master Charlatan or Imperial Imposter is very good indeed. Comes with a stiletto sword, needle pistol, 4 digilasers, mesh armor, a falsehood, a holochromatic field, evade, infiltrate, and step aside. So that is your Imperial Imposter. He's very, very nice indeed. A very, very sneaky, toxin, infiltrate, nasty, just nasty stuff in general. Now, the falsehood and the infiltrate combine to make you virtually, you can't target this guy for the first 2 turns in the game. He can be anywhere on the board and just sneaking around doing his thing. Now, that gives the rest of the gang access to falsehoods as well. And of course, they're represented here. We have an outcast champion here with a combat shotgun with firestorm ammo, fast shot, and sprint. Very nasty indeed for 200 credits. We then have a bunch of hive scum. So 5 hive scum here. The first, Turbs, has an auto pistol, chainsword, and blasting charges with a falsehood. So yeah, falsehood onto the board and then get into a position to use your blasting charges. We then have another hive scum here. For 120 credits with an axe, blasting charges, reclaimed auto pistol, and a falsehood, of course. We then have Blast for 120 credits, who has axe, blasting charges, or a demo charge there, I can't read it, it's too small, and a reclaimed auto pistol, also with a falsehood. And one more hive scum here for 140 credits with an auto pistol, chainsword, and blasting charges with a falsehood as well. It's cheesy, but oh my God, how much fun would this be? Your entire gang, pretty much, except for the champion there. Oh no, the champion does have the falsehood as well, excuse me, with sprint. Yeah, basically unplayable in the first sort of 2 turns of the game while you get into position and sneak around to use your firestorm ammo and your whoppingly powerful blasting charges there as well. What a great list. Well done, Hairy Bob, for that one. Really, really enjoy that one. And that should give you some ideas on, utilizing falsehoods and stuff in your game as well. They are a bit corny. They're up there with Friends on Collars, I have to say, but very fun indeed, I have to say. So let's look at number 1 now in the top 10 of community lists. All right, you ready for number 1? This one's also from Hairy Bob, of course. So massive shout out to Hairy Bob, and well done for getting top place in this. Again, it was hard for me to pick a top 10, but I think I've come up with some really, really good choices here, and hopefully this gives you some good insight into your own list building for Necromunda. This one absolutely takes the cake for me. I think it's the most flavorful, the most interesting, the most it's just awesome. And of course, it's a Delac build. So the first Delac build in here. Now I'm going to go through the list first, and then I'll go to some of the lore that Harry Bob actually gave with me here. He's done a little short story and the way that he sort of thinks about playing this game as well. I really enjoyed reading this. But first, we've got a Master of Shadow who's a Psyker, been upgraded to a Psyker for 300 credits. He comes with 2 auto pistols and 2 web traps. Yes, web traps. They are Delac traps that are available. He's got Mentor and Spatial Psychosis as the skill and the weird power there. Spatial Psychosis is pretty good. I think it sort of pins people, but we'll find out when I go through some of the blurb that was supplied with this. We then have a Psygeist with 2 auto pistols and a Psychoteric Worm with Deceitful Thoughts as the skill there for 140 credits. We then have another Psygeist here for another 140 credits, equally armed with 2 auto pistols, also has a Psychoteric Worm and Suicidal Embrace. I love Suicidal Embrace, it's so awesome. And then we're going to look at the Phantom Psyker here, who's a champion for 125 credits. Again, 2 auto pistols. He is Psy-touched and also has Spatial Psychosis as well. We then have, let's have a look. Where are we? Sorry, one second. We then have another Psygeist here with a Psychoteric Worm and Deceitful Thoughts, 2 auto pistols. Megamind, who is a Spiker. Of course, you can include a Spiker in your starting lists now as your sort of maximum 1 hanger-on or brute. They're really good. They have flight. They're non-sanctioned Psykers, and they're part of the crew as well, as having some psychic abilities there too. We then have 2 Shadows, which are your Juves. The first one is 35 credits, called Protector. Comes with 2 auto pistols. And we then have another one with just a single auto pistol there as well, for some cheap chaff in this gang. Now let's just have a look at some of the blurb that was supplied with this, because I think it's really fun. Here's the little sort of story that came with it. "What cannot be seen cannot be attacked," uttered the Whisperer. Visions of darkness, shadow, and death coasted through his mind as he decided to assert his house's presence in the depths of the Underhive. Knowing that he would be facing gangs furious in melee and devastating at range, he decided that the best course of action would be to remain unseen and toy with the enemy's fighters' minds. Glancing around at his assembled gang, he outlined his plan. "We will split into 2 groups, myself leading one and the Utterer leading the other. Keeping out of sight, we will use the force of our Psychoteric Choir and Worms to lure the enemy closer to us. Once within range of our powers, we will turn the enemy's own weapons against them, and they won't be able to do a thing. When an enemy fighter gets within range of the Worms, we will coerce them into moving closer to us or into one of our web traps. Once close enough, the whispers of the Suicidal Embrace will force them to attack themselves. Should any wily soul get within close range, then myself and the Utterer can pin them before they charge, giving us enough time to slip away into the shadows. From darkness comes death, and today we are death itself." Harry Bob, that's just fantastic. Love it. Now, here's a little bit of a sort of blurb on how that you might play this gang, because there's a lot to think about in that gang list when you look at it. The leader with Spatial Psychosis has a 12-inch base range, +3 for Psychoteric Choir, having those around him. He pins fighters at 15 inches range and can make them fall, succeeds on a 5+. We then have a Psygeist with Deceitful Thoughts, which is a double, 5-inch range, +3 for the Choir, potential 12-inch. If using the Worm, you get a potential 20-inch range there as well. So really utilising those Worms. Succeeds on an 8+ and requires enemy fighters to make an intelligence check at -3. The next Psygeist with Suicidal Embrace, 3-inch range, +3 for the Choir, and a potentially 12-inch for the Worm, which can burrow to 18-inch max range. Succeeds on an 8+ and requires the fighter to make an intelligence check at -3. Causes them to melee themselves, which is awesome if that fighter's got a paired Butcher's Cleavers or Serpent's Fangs or something. We then have a Bodyguard who adds to the Choir as well. The leader has Mentor to get XP to improve the Psygeist's willpower, which is really long, a really nice long game there. Can group activate both Psygeists to drag a fighter forwards, either into a web trap, near a ledge, or within range of stabbing themselves. Group 2. This has the champion with Spatial Psychosis, 12-inch base range, +3 for Psychoteric Choir, pins fighters at 15-inch range and can make them fall, succeeds on a 6+, and can re-roll failed checks. We then have a Psygeist with Deceitful Thoughts, 5-inch range, +3 for the Choir, plus potential 12-inch if using the worm. 20-inch range succeeds on an 8+ and requires enemy fighters to make an intelligence check at -3. We then have the bodyguard, adds to the choir there as well. Those are the Juves, by the way. And we have a spiker with psychic assault, which is an 18-inch base, +3 for the choir. 21 pin and wound, succeeds on a 4+. Really, really nasty indeed. When rep allows, the introduction of thralls would increase the range of the leader and the champion. And that, boys and girls, is how you play Delac with serious brain power. So I absolutely love that one, and I'm looking forward to actually sort of using this list perhaps in a battle report or something, just to see how to do it. It does require a bit of a sort of mega mind, but that's what Delac's all about, and I just absolutely love all the shenanigans involved in this one. So well done, Hairy Bob, for that. Again, I'd like to do this challenge again at some point, because I feel that there's just so many good ideas out there, and I feel like there's so much more that the community can show me in terms of how to play this game that I thought I knew so well. So yeah, this was a really fun one. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Again, please do like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Merry Christmas. Peace out.